A healthy person has 1,000 dreams. The sick person only has one. And right now, there's 60% of the people in this country who have only one dream. If they can make it through a day without pain, with energy, without having to take medications.
Greetings and welcome back to Wolf Kage Los Angeles. These are pivotal times in America. Health, something that should be our top priority, has become one of the most overlooked issues in the nation for some reason. We're more obese than ever. Chronic illness is at an all-time high. And instead of tackling the root causes, we've replaced healthy living with prescriptions. We have pills now for everything. Pharmaceuticals have become a substitute for actual wellness. And if you look around, it's not working. But now a new force is stepping in. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and his team are saying enough is enough. They want to make America healthy again. And you know what? I'm here for it.
Goal is to make America healthy again. Let's bring in our guest, Dr. Marty Makary, Food and Drug Administration Commissioner, Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Dr. Mehmet Oz, Administrator for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, and National Institutes of Health Director, Dr. J. Bhattacharya. Thank you all for being here. Mr. Secretary, this is unique in that you work with all these guys very closely, and it's a different scenario for HHS.
Yeah, I actually had Tommy Thompson in this morning talking to me, who was the HHS who had my job under the Bush administration, and I was talking about my relationship with these gentlemen who are running the agency, running the major sub-agencies of HHS, and he said that nothing like that had ever happened in history. I say that I talk to them typically about 2 or 3 times a day. We're friends. We go to lunch together. We stay at each other's homes. We vacation together, and then we're aligned on in our vision. Friendship is based upon shared values, and that's the strongest bond that holds people together. And in this, we all share a vision that's been a lifelong vision for all of us, which is to make our country healthy, to have evidence-based science, to have gold standard replicable science, and then use that to challenge what we have this kind of bedrock system that is destroying our health, which is a complete misalignment of economic incentives and public health.
What Kennedy is saying here is vital, but for some reason, a lot of people just aren't getting it. In today's hyper-political world, the left often demonizes unity, especially when it comes to people getting together for a quote-unquote noble cause. But history tells us nothing great happens alone. If you're fighting a powerful machine like Big Pharma, you need a team that shares your vision. You think these pharmaceutical companies are just going to give up billions of dollars just because it's the right thing to do? Hell no. These people are paying people off. They're lobbying Congress. They're flooding the media with fear. And many of the people criticizing this movement, they're getting kickbacks. If the American people get healthy, I mean truly healthy, it means the system collapses. It means billions in lost revenue for pharmaceutical giants and their political puppets. That's the real reason why you see them panicking.
I know you all have a lot of balls in the air, but I'd love to go down the row and just talk about the big thing that each of you are dealing with, working on. First, FDA. Marty?
Well, first of all, we want to focus the agency on cures and meaningful treatments. In the last administration, the number one priority the commissioner stated was fighting misinformation, and the DEI staff ballooned out. We want to focus on cures and meaningful treatments. We believe in the letter and the spirit of right to try, and there's amazing stuff in the pipeline I've seen. We're talking about new treatments for stage 4 cancers, for neurodegenerative disorders, for diabetes that we've never seen before. Why does it take 10 years on average for drugs to come to market? Why are we blaming children for being sick and not looking at our food supply? Why are we thinking it's a willpower problem as we watch half of our nation's children with belly pain or attention deficit disorder or on medications? And can we use common sense and gold standard science both? And that's the charge that we have from Secretary Kennedy.
Dr. Marty's point about the media, spot on. When we say mainstream media, we're not just talking about the nightly news. No, we're talking about shows like The View. We're talking about late night comedy shows. We're talking about a myriad of morning fluff pieces. It's distraction 24/7. And they never address real issues like chronic illness, like environmental toxins or broken medical systems. Instead, they advertise pharmaceuticals between jokes and celebrity gossip. They advocate for this. They advocate for sick care. Well, Dr. Marty and the Baja crew, at least they say they're not going to play this game. They're digging into why. Why are so many people getting sick? What started this chronic illness epidemic? And most importantly, how do we stop it?
There's this question about vapes coming over from China and that they're really pervasive in our country, and kids with like video games and getting vapes, and they're dangerous. That falls under FDA.
Yeah, it does. These are devices that are designed to get kids addicted to playing a video game, and there's an inhalation port in the device. They're showing up at our borders, and what we have been doing is just sending them back. And so the Chinese manufacturers are just sending it to another port. It's called port shopping, and they all get in. They're laughing at us. So that's going to stop in this administration. We're not going to allow these devices to get in. We're going to confiscate them.
So let's be honest. Past administrations, both left and right, have sold us out. Sold us to China, sold us to corporate greed, and now they're after our children. Or maybe they've always been after our children. From addiction to over-sexualization to glorifying laziness. It's a campaign to demoralize and dumb down the next generation. And who pushes it the hardest? Of course, the liberals, the Democratic Party. And this isn't conspiracy. This is strategy. Because if you're weakened mentally, physically, and spiritually, you'll obey anything. You'll give up your rights for another fix, another distraction. But there is some good news on the horizon. These gentlemen, they're aware of it. They're bringing it to the light. And hopefully they're ready to fight back. Well, at least they say they are.
Mehmet, there's a lot of focus on Medicaid and Medicare, and it gets demagogued all the time that you're coming after it, that you're going to kill it, that you're going to cut it. What do you say to all that?
Our goal is to put health back in Health and Human Services. And under Secretary Kennedy, and that's why we're all here, we're laser focused on the broader picture, the more holistic picture. In the back of this wonderful theater that we're recording in now, there's a quote from Hubert Humphrey. The building's named after him. He's a Democrat. And he said it's the moral obligation of government to take care of those of us at the very dawn of our lives, children, at the twilight of our life, the elderly, and those living in the shadows. That's our focus. It's quality of care at all levels. And we're working together to make sure that happens. In every single scenario that we're looking at, we are increasing payment in Medicaid, putting more money in the Medicaid. Increasing. So the question is, how do you spend that money so efficiently that you stop throwing money at problems, but actually deal with the broader health needs? Addressing the fundamental reality that 70% of the money that CMS spends, and that's what Medicare, Medicaid, the exchanges, CHIP, 70% of the money we spend is on chronic illness. And we're not getting our money's worth. So for folks listening right now, it's your patriotic duty to be as healthy as you can, and it's our job to help you get there, make it easy to do the right things. At the same time, we've got to make wise decisions because we're stewards who have to protect the money for the population that Hubert Humphrey described.
So these guys, these leaders, they want to make Americans so healthy that we no longer need hospitals the way we do now. But that's a threat to the left. Why? Because there's no profit in wellness. Billions upon billions in taxpayer money is funneled into a system designed to keep us sick. That money isn't healing anyone. It's just lining pockets. Some of the so-called medical professionals, they're scammers. Some of the politicians allocating funds, even worse. This isn't just bad policy, it's fraud. And finally, it seems like we may just have a team willing to stop it.
Fiscal year 2024, largest percentage of improper payments, $54 billion Medicare, $31 billion Medicaid. Earned income tax credit was 15, SNAP was 10.5. But I mean, you're looking at 5 million in improper payments?
Billion.
Billion, I'm sorry.
That's an underestimate.
Yeah. Here's the thing. We have a war room now, a war room to fight back against adversaries. And these aren't just small-time players. These are foreign governments, weaponized, organized crime. And why are they coming after us? Because our budget is nearly $2 trillion if you include the monies that are spent that we direct but sometimes don't come out of our pocketbooks. But the direct budget just for CMS is $1.75 trillion. That's twice the defense budget. So there's a big target on our back, and folks are coming after it. And they're the kinds of things that should make you mad. It's USAID on steroids, frankly. I'll give you a couple examples. Almost 250,000 Americans found out by surprise because they got an IRS notice that they had gotten the Affordable Care Act insurance without knowing it. Why would you sign someone up without telling them they have insurance? Because brokers can steal the money. We have hundreds of millions of dollars spent on housekeeping. We have tens of millions of dollars spent on public unions getting free child care or student tuition or DEI programs. I have an obligation, all of us do, to protect the people that Humphrey was speaking about. And if we're not going to protect the most vulnerable, that's who they're stealing money from, then we're not doing our job. So we're going after, there's a new sheriff in town, and we're coming after folks in a very big way.
You know what else I find to be humorous? Is that the left can't stop crying about Doge or questioning why isn't anybody been arrested yet? But listen, this isn't just about arresting one person here or there. This is about uncovering a massive, long-standing web of corruption. We're talking about decades of misused taxpayer dollars. Think about programs like USAID. Sounds like USAID, but it's USAID. Sounds good on paper, right? But dig deeper, and you'll find a system funneling money to special interests, corrupt NGOs, and foreign actors. You can't fix that with a single arrest. You need exposure. You need investigation. You need dismantling of an entire system. There are people behind the scenes working hard, under tremendous pressure, because if they succeed, powerful people will lose trillions.
NIH, always looking to the next thing, but there are people concerned that funding is drying up. In the president's budget, FDA is spared, but there's $33.3 billion cut from HHS, $18 billion from NIH, $674 million from CMS. Does that affect you, and how do you portray that about what NIH is doing?
I mean, I think the key fact I look at for NIH is that the mission of the NIH is supposed to do research that improves the health and longevity of the American people. And since 2012, we've seen no increase in life expectancy in this country. In that sense, the NIH has not done its mission over the last dozen years. And in fact, NIH was involved in supporting research that may have actually led to the pandemic that we all just went through.
We'll speak to that for a second. Gain of function just signed this executive order the other day in the Oval Office. What does that mean to the average person? You can stop it on the U.S. side, but obviously it's happening around the world.
The U.S. is the primary state that sets the example for how to do this kind of work around the world. When the U.S. says, look, we're not going to allow scientists to play God, take viruses with cockamamie justifications, make them more transmissible, more deadly, that doesn't protect us against anybody, and it causes tremendous risk. And what the president did by signing this order is he said, no more. We're not going to have another lab-generated pandemic on my watch.
You know, Dr. J brought up something that I feel is critical. Your money is being used for others to play God, not to help you. It's being used to run experiments, many of which actually harm people. Remember that gain of function research where scientists were genetically altering viruses to become more dangerous? Why would anyone do that? Why would your money fund that? This isn't medical advancement. This is Frankenstein science. The American people didn't vote for this. The American people wouldn't support this if they understood it. And that's why it needs to be exposed. That's why it needs to stop.
The Surgeon General nominee was supposed to be a hearing today on Capitol Hill. Dr. Neshwat was pulled. She's heading here to the HHS. What happened with all that?
What happened with her withdrawal? We talked to Dr. Neshwat. We're going to put her at a very good place here at HHS. Casey Means, we felt, was the best person to really bring the vision of MAHA to the American public. She has this unique capacity to articulate it. She's written a book that really mobilized, galvanized the movement. She is an extraordinary. She is excellence in everything that she's ever endeavored.
Obviously, she's come under her own criticism about some of the things she's advocated for. She never finished her residency, and she doesn't currently have an active medical license. But that's not.
She was the very top of her medical class at Stanford. She's during her residency, she won every award that she could win. She walked away from traditional medicine because she was not curing patients. She couldn't get anybody within her profession to look at the nutrition contributions to illness. And she said, if we're really going to heal people, if we're healers, we can't just be making our life about billing new procedures. We actually have to figure out new approaches to medicine. And that's the kind of leadership that she's going to bring to our country.
And last thing on this, your former running mate weighed in today saying that she wasn't happy about this and said that you're somehow being controlled. Your decisions are being controlled. That's what she posted.
Listen, you guys sitting here, 4 people who were all canceled during COVID.
Yeah, that's right.
These people are, you've got the entire leadership of this agency is renegades who are juggernauts against convention and who are trying to look for truth no matter what the cost.
So nobody's controlling your
Casey
decision.
is among those.
So finally, they mention Dr. Casey Means. An outstanding pick, in my opinion, not just in theory, but in practice. Personally, I've followed her work for years. I've applied her insights, and I've seen real healing in my own life. But let's not be naive. Everyone involved in this game, including Nicole Shanahan, who I like too, MAHA leaders, they all have skin in it. They all stand to gain or lose, depending on the outcome. So we watch. So we stay hopeful. But we also have to remain cautious. We also have to keep holding everyone accountable. We adopt and maintain a wait-and-see attitude. We listen, we watch, but we're still skeptical. But we're hopeful. Because if they're truly going to make America healthy again, we got to make sure we keep them on track. I am Wolf Kage, and this was Wolf Kage Los Angeles. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And until the next time, stay strong, stay awake, and stay free. Peace.